We're all
I
happy.
don't really have my glasses on, so the little
Well, hopefully it's all in focus.
the little person
'Cause,
over there.
I get really frustrated with myself when the podcast isn't in focus and it's a bit of a soft shot.
Understandably.
Yeah, it gets a bit annoying.
But those posters in the background look amazing.
Yes, sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, like when they're in focus and the guest is out of focus, it's quite harrowing to me. But no, I'm drinking something different today. Normally I drink beer, but today I'm.
Are we celebrating?
I don't know. Yes, I guess we are. You want to celebrate?
Maybe
our little win so far.
Well, we've done a great job so far.
Well, to Made in the West.
Cheers.
Cheers
to the next phase.
And there's been so many phases. Well, look, I think we're definitely ready to kick off the show. So let me kick it off. And welcome to the Pagey Train. Today I have in the studio with me Misty McPhail, writer, event coordinator, event manager, volunteer general of Sydney.
Crisis communicator.
A bit of everything. How are you doing, Misty?
I'm very well, thanks very much. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, that's all right. It's good to have you back on the show. We had you on the show start of COVID.
I know. I was literally your first guest in COVID, remember?
Yeah, my first lockdown guest because it was legal and we were allowed to because we live in the same house.
That's right. I think everybody was like, well, we'll be hearing a lot of Misty for the next 6 months.
Oh, well, look, we adjusted on the show.
I'm surprised I haven't been back on since. You've done really well.
I've done really well. I was really hesitant to get you on straight away. I was trying to get you back on the show, obviously closer to Made in the West.
Oh, now's a perfect time.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is, totally. So I'm glad that we could fit this episode in before we go and do the festival.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so, but we've had a lot of changes. A lot of things have happened for me and you during this COVID adventure. We got the Rewind series out there. Still managed to keep the podcast afloat.
We ran our first online networking event. Wasn't that great?
Yeah. It's kind of like Fight Club at the moment. All we got to do is give it a name. It was a fantastic event. Absolutely fantastic. It blew me away how collegic everyone was and how many cool people are out there. There's just so many of you cool people out there. Obviously, planning for a COVID-safe event at Made in the West. We've had some interesting discussions and we've gotten some interesting updates. We can go through. Let's go through the big bombshell update for Made in the West.
Which one? There's so many.
There's so many. But we have a new judge. On Made in the West. We've released it out there. I think I let a little bit out on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. But we can officially announce again, if you like.
That I finally hooked Brian Brown to the judging panel.
Yes, we finally got Brian Brown. So really strange shout out. Thanks, Brian Brown, for being a judge at Made in the West.
Yeah, we've been eyeing off some Western Sydney based or celebs, who've made it through into become screen icons, and we've been trying to hook somebody, that is a nice
A-lister.
Big,
we've been looking for an A-lister
fish for our judging panel for the last.
We have targeted a lot of A-listers. We may be in some states classified on a watch list as stalkers. That's possible.
Yes, Brian Brown this year. We've also got Maha Wilson. We've got Julie Kalsef, which I'm really excited about having her back on the panel again. We've got David Byrne, Michael Budd, both who've been with us for a good five years now. Shout out to those.
And Rachel Bentley, former CEO of Television Sydney, and of course Iqbal Barkat. The grandfather of Made in the West, for sure, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a big part in where it all
its conception.
Began. That's right.
He definitely was. I'd love to get him on the show if you're listening, Iqbal. I'd love to get you on to interview you. That'd be interesting after all this time.
Well, so many people were influenced by Iqbal back in the day.
Oh yeah, man.
So many still now, obviously.
Yeah, he inspired a lot of us to become filmmakers. He's just one of those influential people. Amazing and a highly critical man. Very honest person. He will tell you if your film is shit. He will tell you, but he'll tell you where it's strong as well and where you could enhance on your strengths. So he had a lot to do with that. But I've left another judge out.
You have. You've left out Craig Morgan, who is a wonderful screen composer, one of the chair.
That's
on the board
important.
of the Screen Composers Guild, and he's a fantastic judge.
He teaches at the con, doesn't he? He teaches at the con.
Yep. Western Sydney born.
A heavy hitter for our composers, an important judge. A recent addition.
Peter Malin.
Oh, Peter Malin.
Can't forget Peter
Malin. Yeah.
I love getting Peter's feedback after the end of the judging series, because so the judges have the films at the moment, which is very exciting. I always love sending the films off to the judges, letting that out of our hands.
Well, we've watched, me and you and our close colleague Jay Mann.
Shout out to Jay.
Yeah, big shout out to Jay and Casey Hope actually. We had Casey around, so big shout out. Who's moving up through the ranks in Made in the West a little bit there. Got to keep an eye on her. No, we got to watch this year's content. Going in with bated breath. I was terrified.
I was terrified we were going to end up with 50 COVID films.
I thought it was going to be really bleak, yeah.
I thought it was all going to be COVID, looking out the window, riding on a vacuum cleaner, doing something.
Yeah,
something in the hallways.
Yeah, someone spinning their washing line around.
I had pretty low expectations.
I don't know if I had low expectations. I was fearful of, the feeling that people would be expressing through COVID.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe we'll get those films next year. Maybe you guys run behind and didn't get your COVID films.
Maybe.
Because we got barely any sort of COVID films, really.
No, only less than a handful.
Yeah, less than a handful. It was very low on the COVID content.
Yeah, I was really surprised.
There's an extreme broad genre spread there. So, some no shit. The most amazing films that I've ever seen entered into Made in the West. And that's a bold statement.
We say that every year, which is fantastic.
Yeah, but this one's another leap, though. It's a leap again.
And we believe it every year. Don't get me wrong. It's not a lie. But I'm always amazed. This year, just
the amount of good films.
Absolutely. We when we took a halfway break, hours later, I remember feeling, quite scared that maybe we weren't going to be able to choose, how will the judges even pick a top 20 out of this, or a top number? So I was really pleased, so impressed by the films that came in this year.
Yeah, I was just totally blown away. Some of the films that are out this year are just absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, the production value, the amount of work that went into it, you can tell the detail, the crew, the costumes. There's so much.
And sticking to their genre as well. There was some in there that really were diehard to their genre, and they did not skew away and did not shy away from the type of film that they were making.
Yeah, some really bold stories in there. I was really impressed.
Yeah, a lot of balls in there.
People want to say some stuff. It's really great.
Yeah. But using different mediums as well, like different genres. That's what I mean. I was just totally blown away by the spread of genre this year and the quality.
Yeah.
So those films are now off to our judges.
Yes. Well, shout out to all the entrants for this year, because honestly, you blew us away. We were so impressed watching the films. We can't wait to hear what the judges have to say. It was just amazing. Everybody is, so impressive. It makes me so happy.
Yeah, like I said, I was going in with bated breath. I had no idea what the content was going to look like.
Yeah.
I was very vigilant in not watching the content.
Oh, I know, it's so hard, isn't it?
It's so hard not to watch it all year. We got a lot of late entries in there, so a big shout out again to all of our entrants this year. You guys have absolutely just blown it out of the park.
The midnight rush.
But it's lucky though.
On Thursday, Friday night.
It's a strange silver lining because of what we've got in front of us, because we talked to one of our major sponsors and supporters, Event Cinemas, and we were, obviously having that, the conversation that no one wants to have about events, and that's COVID.
Yes.
And out of that conversation, we've already announced it in different ways, but we've got two cinemas, right? So we've got cinema, both VMAX. So we've got two VMAX cinemas, Cinema 11 and Cinema 12. Normally we show the festival at Cinema 12.
Well, yeah. That conversation really blew us away, right? We went in there wanting to sort of, discuss, okay, well, how are we going to work this? The logistics of getting, what's our capacity going to be? How are we going to get people in the door? And for them to offer us two cinemas, private foyer, private bar, in-cinema bars, after party. I'm so excited with it, because that idea that they've had has absolutely just opened the doors for us to include so many more filmmakers in the lineup this year.
That's where I think this is a fantastic opportunity, because normally in the one cinema we would be showing 15, 14 to 19 films.
Yep.
But
Max 19.
I think one year we may have got to 20 films.
Yeah.
Because it's all dependent on duration and what's selected to be the main finalists. But this year, we've got an opportunity to have more of a spread of films. So,
yes.
So it's going to be from 25 to 30 films. So that means we can run a marathon in Cinema 11.
Well, that's my big news, right? So we've got Cinema 12, which we're running as a VIP exclusive event because capacity will only allow us to have the filmmakers plus cast and crew and our sponsors, special guests in that cinema. But we have the second cinema, and if we're gonna get 150 people to come along, I say let's max it out and have a massive movie marathon. So I'm so excited that that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, but it's expanded the festival.
Yeah.
Because people have been onto us for a while. Like, one of our biggest challenges for Made in the West was getting Made in the West back to Western Sydney. We went through years of trying to achieve that, and we achieved that. But the other sort of thing that people have been asking us to do is, how do you expand the festival? How do you make it more than just this one screening? And, now we have an answer for you. We've got two cinemas that are doing similar things, but they're different. So one's, so we're going to have the official selection for Cinema 12.
Cinema 12, where the awards are.
So that's where all the awards are.
Yep, that's right. And the MC's there introducing all the films. We talk nominations. We've got the VIP drinks hosted in there, that sort of thing. It's for the cast and crew. But next door, there is another screening going, and that one is open to the public. Another 150 people, but this time it's a bumper 2.5 hours worth of films, and we've got an extra maybe 10, 12 films in there, which would be fantastic.
Yeah, so the main event in Cinema 12, well, not the main event, it's an exclusive event.
Yeah,
is that a way to talk about it? Now, at the moment, so that's VIP invite only.
Yeah, we got the red carpet opening up at 6:30, and the screening begins at 7 o'clock. We'll do an hour and a half long segments, as we always do. Awards at the end, and trophy presentations at the end of the night.
But yeah, so Cinema 11, that's all stripped out. So it's just the films. It's the films with a little bit of MCing.
Yeah, it's absolutely packed to the hilt, full of Western Sydney films.
Yeah, wow. So that's amazing. So well, obviously we need to look at. We know the durations, I guess. But we still need to wait for that information to come back from the judges.
Yeah, that's right.
To know what's going where.
All we know is our maximum duration, and because of course we've been working out our COVID safe running order, which is jacked up this year. So much thought has gone into is going to be in what foyer at what time.
I've modelled a lot. I've done it because of my professional work. I've done a lot of modelling on COVID scenarios. And obviously us going to different events, we've witnessed the different ways that this can be achieved. And I think we are totally geeking out on this in a way that the audience, I think we've done it in such a way that the audience will still have a great experience, but it's going to be one of the most COVID safe events you could possibly go to.
It's going to be safer than anything I've been to, let me put it that way.
Yeah. So well, it's a hard thing, right? Because you could go, oh man, I'll just lax on this so I can squeeze it this way. But we've got the advantage of these two cinemas and these two events, which is now Made in the West is becoming a multi-event festival.
Well,
because we've got another one on the boil.
I was going to say, you can't forget the primo screening of all, the one that's open to as many people as would like to
globally.
Come. Friends, family, we get to invite our friends from overseas, our friends from out west, west of West in WA. We get to invite everybody that we know and love to come and see the films this year, which is a first. Normally we're capped at having 330 people in the cinema. Well, this year we get to have our 300 people in the cinema, plus we get to have an at-home audience. And me, I'm a total digital festival nerd. I'm very excited about running a digital festival.
You are well versed in the spheres of festival digestion.
That's it. And I think it was really important for us this year. During COVID, during the last 6 months, we've done a lot of thinking about Made in the West and what we're about and what matters to us. I mean, there's been a few film festivals that have gone online and produced an online screening, and they obviously run through the films and that's enjoyable. It's just like watching movies at home. But Made in the West is about more than that. we're very much about the filmmakers, and we are very much about the celebration of those filmmakers. So I am really proud of the fact that we have thought about how we can bring that festival experience to people at home, because that's what's important. The films are fantastic. The films are always going to be fantastic. The online festival is going to be mad. It's 3-hour marathon from home. It's going to be amazing. Plus filmmaker content, plus red carpet action.
Yeah, we've got interviews.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, so we've got interviews. We've got it hosted. So you're going to have a guide, a guided tour of this content, and done in a really, really cool way.
Right in the middle of the cinema. You get to see the audience. You get to be right there in front. You get to see the awards happening.
Oh no! What's next? Is it going to be 3D cameras on people's heads that sit in the audience, and you could VR link into a festival? Is that where we're going?
We could absolutely move towards augmented reality. I don't mind.
Yeah, an augmented reality film festival.
That's fine.
That's us in 5 years.
Hey,
watch this space.
We wouldn't be the first.
No, but
it's not groundbreaking.
But we would be the first to do it really well.
We'd be the first to do it here.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. No, I'm very excited about the digital event actually, because that's our flagship event this year. If it all goes to COVID hell, as we say, then the live event gets moved online.
Yeah. It's already there. We've already provisioned for that. So
that's right. So
in the event of Armageddon, we can still run the festival.
Yeah, so the flagship event this year is the digital screening, and that is the one that we're actually going to get the biggest audience to, and we're going to have the most interaction with, which I'm super excited about. Because if there's one thing we've learned this year, is that having events accessible from home is fantastic, right?
Yeah, share. And it depends how they're done, though.
There are so
depends how they're done.
Yeah, but if it's a choice between me missing out on going to an event or watching an online, live stream of an event or an online version of a festival, as long as I'm interested in the content, I'm pretty forgiving of how it's put together, especially this year. People are pretty forgiving.
But if you've got both,
it's about the content.
Yeah, it is about the content. But you're right, though. This year people are a bit more forgiving of digital platforms and them being a bit clunky. But I don't think that we shouldn't shy away from trying to make it as a smooth, planned event, and which we're doing that. Like I think we get forgiven if it's a bit jarred here and there, but I don't really think it is. I think we've got this nailed down pretty well.
I think it'll be fine.
Especially doing the online event that we've recently done, where we've looked at it as a merger of different formulas and how they work.
You're talking about my Choose Your Own Adventure.
Choose Your Own Adventure, TV-esque.
I loved it. I had so much
networking
fun.
Zoom event.
Yes.
We're doing another one soon.
Yeah. Watch this space.
So we're coming up with that soon.
Hopefully in the next maybe
2 weeks.
Months. I said 2 months. You
2 months. 2 weeks.
Was the difference between us?
No. But that's actually I've almost come out too far. We've got an event coming up, but I don't think we can announce that yet.
Well, we got a secret, behind the scenes online event for the finalists.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to announce that.
The only people that know about that are the finalists.
So Well, we got a little exclusive event, networking event for finalists.
Yeah, we're going to have a party online.
Yeah.
Basically.
But we've got that coming up. But as well, so we've gone from in COVID, right? So our last conversation on the Pagey train, we've gone from don't know if we're running a festival, but we're going to give it a red hot shot.
We're determined.
We've got time. We've got time to go through, and we thought about it. We looked at it logically. Of course, there's going to be 2 waves. There's going to be at least 2 waves of this virus. And we looked at it, chances are things could be open, but as well, we war gamed it to a point, if things aren't open, we've got an online event. So that worst case scenario, we've got an online event, but the best case scenario, out of Corona, out of that conversation all that time ago, we've gone from being a singular event festival.
Yep.
There's one event at the festival. Well, there's 2 really. You have the intermission event and the screening. So there's these 2 sort of little events that happen at Made in the West. But now it's totally fragmented into different pieces and different objectives. When one's a marathon, one's an awards night, one's a digital presentation that you can show off globally.
Yeah.
This has all happened in the space of 8 months.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've had all of these different ideas bubbling along for the last few months, and we knew that we didn't really have to pin down exactly what we which pathway we're going to do. Talk about choose your own adventure brain, right? We have all these different scenarios that we've planned for. What did we start with? We started with 7 scenarios. And
And
then we cut that down to 5, and then we cut that down to 3.
Yeah.
And then now we're able to choose. And we've just got the one we're going with and the backup.
Yeah. Well, there's actions on. Like in the military, you'd refer to it as actions on. What do you do in the case of this emergency? And this is the action to that emergency.
Yeah.
So we have actions.
So obviously we have backup plans in place if a cluster happens to eventuate in our local area and the cinema gets shut down. But we're
fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. Hoping that
we don't
things
have to do
continue.
that.
I mean, I've been so impressed with how things have gone here in Sydney. I expected the worst.
Yeah.
We've been very lucky.
We've been very lucky and
to have scooted through a second.
But I think that's people's diligence. That's people doing the right thing where they can. And everyone managing their hygiene as best as they can.
Yeah.
Suited to, and customised to each person.
Yes.
Some people are deeper than others in that regard. Like I see a lot of other people out there that wear masks. Some wear the masks and the gloves. I'm a mask in public person. Once I get into my office space and I'm alone, then the mask comes off.
Yeah.
But,
well, that'll be the interesting thing about this year, right? Because that's one of the reasons why the online event is so important. Because the online festival is for anybody who doesn't feel like coming out yet. There are plenty of people who aren't ready to come out of the house yet, and they still want access to those events. There are plenty of people who can't come out of the house yet, and they want access to those events. So that's why that online festival is so important. But then the big challenge is actually at the live event or at the in-person event on the 21st. We're going to have to be around all these people that we love and that we hang out with every year at the festival. We're celebrating, and everybody's going to be socially distanced. We're going to be partying in our cinema chairs.
Yeah, the cinema bubbles.
Yep, we're going to be.
We got our own little bubble.
Trying to allocate seating.
A non-COVID bubble.
Yep, trying to allocate seating in groups so that people can hang with their friends and not have to worry about crossing over the cinema too much, all that sort of stuff. We're in the process of organising. So, there's been a lot more effort that's gone into it, a lot more planning. But I think that, the more work you put into it beforehand, the better it is on the night. Yeah,
but but we've grown our synergies with other organisations as well this year because we're all in this lifeboat of the dress rehearsal of Armageddon and
the 2020 time warp.
Yeah, the 2020 time warp. Sure that someone should come up with a dance for the 2020. Call it the 2020. I don't know. It's been I don't know if it's been a horrible year. Like I've had parts of the year where I've been really sad, but there's other parts of the year that I've been really happy. And not never this happy in my life. Kind of happy.
That's good.
So that's wonderful.
Well,
so it's been a mixed bag year.
This year was a weird one because there was so much that we lost, straight away. Just lost everything, and you had to kind of adjust to that and be okay with that.
Yeah, we just had to rebuild the machine again.
Yeah, and not just the machine, just rebuild life, like routine, like how we operate.
Yeah, the entire machine, in fact.
Yeah, that's it. At workplaces, the way we socialise with friends, thanks to everybody who's been hanging out with me on a virtual Friday night happy hour for the last 6 months. Yeah, that's been pretty
good. Some of those have been quite good.
I've been, we've had to embrace this new sort of way of doing things, and which was challenging, but at the same time, I'm really happy with some of the outcomes. There are things now that I can do
we could never have done
that I would never have been able to convince people to do before.
No way.
Whether it's briefing people, whether it's meetings online, whether it's cinema meetings, whether it's team meetings.
Yeah,
all of that.
I've been in so many
stuff.
digital spaces this year.
It's been great. Script reads, rehearsals. There's
but in
so
a video
much.
sense, I've never been so video active. For someone that's very video active,
You've produced a lot of content this year.
Yeah, I've produced a lot of content and meetings and Zoom, man. Zoom's got it all.
Yeah.
But I just think, I think the way that we turn Zoom into something that can either be something really corporate-y or it can be actually quite fun if you organise it properly.
Well, I've been thinking about how to play with Zoom for a while, right? Because I teach classes on Zoom and the functionality is there to be able to do a lot of things, but I'm sort of stuck in this format of, I've got slides and I've got exercises that need doing, we use these breakout rooms. I send them off, they do work, they come back. It's made to be interactive, and particularly in a large scale like seminar workshop sort of space. But how we chose to work with Zoom for the online networking event just added in an extra layer of interactivity. The thing that nobody likes about an online event is not having the control panel in your hands. Being able to say, I don't want to do this bit right now, I want to do this, or I don't want to meet 5 people at once right now, I'm a bit uncomfortable, I'd rather just meet one. I want to do another elevator pitch for 2 minutes before I meet 4 people in a room for 5.
Yeah, they're good options to have.
That idea of sort of having people choose what they're comfortable with and choose what they want to do next, or take on a challenge, write a script.
Yeah, I want to get them to that point. That'd be great if they took that option.
Stuff,
but we get a few shots at it.
Yeah, that was really fun to be able to introduce into that online.
Unusually successful in a really big way, and I think there's something in that. And I think we definitely have to pursue it.
It really helped. It felt like we were on like this mass Brady Bunch TV set, right? And so I'd be introducing something, and I'm like, over to you, Ross, and it's like 2 squares up, there's Ross, and Ross is like, and thanks very much, and we're going to do this, and then we throw back to me, and then
being a digital MC is really weird, and being a digital host is it's a horse of a different colour.
Yeah, it's great.
It has its different nuances.
And you always have one of those moments where it's like Ross, and I point up to you, and someone else is like, he's over here, and someone else is like, no, he's over here, and everybody's got a different view of it. But yeah, playing with those ideas on what you expect in those spaces, I think is really valuable for us. We don't have to follow the rules. We're not like other organisations that run workshops and
that's come up a few times.
Skill sets for
way more agile.
Those sorts of things. We're
way more agile.
Yeah, we're
the fucking Energizer bunny, man.
Yeah, we're a young organisation. We aren't attached to things having to be, even though we don't love change. We embrace it.
We fear change
when it's upon us. After a little bit of coaxing, but
pushing.
I think we've done really well to adapt to what's available.
I think we've done spectacular.
And everybody's super excited. When we came out and we said that we were going ahead with the festival. I mean, we were always going ahead with the festival in some capacity, but the fact that we've come out and said that we've got 2 cinemas, how exciting!
2 cinemas with a spread of different content across them, I think is interesting. It's an interesting concept because now we don't just have a gala event; we also have a marathon. We have a digital festival as well.
Yeah.
Out the back end of a really depressing scenario. From shit has grown some flowers, I can tell you that.
Well, for a year where we thought we'd lost it all and we thought we weren't going to be able to do anything, we've probably had the most productive year we've ever had.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been an extremely productive year.
Yeah.
But it's like, this reminds me of a venue change. A year of a venue change where it's just really stressful. It's going to be a stressful year because it's triple the work for, a third of the outcome.
You got to plan it out again. You got to figure out how things are going to go.
Yeah, flow systems,
what's happening at different
mapping
times,
it.
Who's doing what,
parking, routes.
Someone very smart once told me it takes you one time to learn it and the second time to own it. So that's how we feel about venue changes.
Venue changes, you got to build it all over.
The last thing
don't recommend it. Get a venue, stay there.
Change a venue. Every year. So big shout out to the team at Event Cinemas.
Yeah, you guys are dynamite.
Vicky, we love you. Shari, all of the team. Hopefully, this year is going to be bigger and better than ever for you guys as well as us. So we love working with Event Cinemas, and we love being part of the family there.
Yeah, definitely. They have really looked after us.
Yeah, we're very happy to be there.
Yeah, it's been a great relationship. It's hard to compare actually to other relationships that we've had with organisations. They're really, really good. But I suppose they're all different, right?
Yeah,
all organisations are different, and how you interact is different.
Yeah, well, I've been in touch with all of our sponsors this year. We've got a few big announcements to make in the next week or two regarding prizes.
Yeah, we've got some prizes coming up,
All of the great sponsors that have come on board, and we've had such a great response from all the people that I've gotten in touch with. All the companies that support the festival are, very keen to jump on board again this year and help us out. And the filmmakers are going to be super excited about the exciting prizes that we've got lined up for them, and some great opportunities.
Well, I've thrown my hat in. I've thrown my hat in the ring. Like, I'll put out some Foley. I'll do some Foley prizes.
Oh, you do great Foley.
Yeah, I do a good job. Meanwhile, if you need some Foley work done, just let me know.
I like when you rescue people's films.
Yeah,
like when they come to you and they say, I've got this film, but this this one section is just ruined by, I don't know, maybe it wasn't recorded properly, or that one with the wind.
Yeah, things go wrong.
Ruined by wind.
Especially sound. Things go wrong, man. Planes fly over. Yeah, you can't capture, like, if you're doing a shoot in the rain, you can't capture the voice in the rain. You have to go and record it again. And if you're going to go record the voice again, that means you need to have the soundscape around that voice. So that's why those two things go hand in hand. The wind, like I'm bringing up that client we had with the wind. Those things happen. Those things happen all the time, and people tend to cut the scene away. And I think it's a shame if you just did a bit of Foley. That's why I like some of the student films. The student films tend to do a range of all arts in film. Because Foley's one of those things that you go, I just can't be fucked. I can't be fucked doing that. But if you had someone doing it for you that really loved it, then it's easy, right? It's easy to hand over to someone. It's just like editing. If you're not an editor, hand it over to an editor. But Foley and sound tend to be the last consideration. And when that comes to sound, they will just do the bare minimum to get the easiest sound. And that's usually to record the sound on set and run with that. But there's no EQing on that. There's you can't modify it in any special way. So when you do the ADR and the Foley, you can really lift your film, and that's the other part that I feel that's where I feel that that thing that people talk about, that film magic. That's where I feel
sound makes a big difference.
Yeah, I feel magical when I do it.
Yeah.
I think it's a dorky, geeky process. But
there's a lot of weirdos that get into Foley.
Yes, totally. There's something weird about you if you want to get into it, because it's a strange art. It's a bizarre art.
Yep.
Basically just reacting a film.
I'd love for us to have a Foley stage. At some point in our future. All the different footsteps and whatever's, and the doors slamming.
But what I've always kept an eye out for in the background is like radio stations that go under.
Oh yeah,
especially older ones. So an old radio station has gone under. They may have had an old Foley department,
right?
And I want to,
take one over.
No, go get all their gear,
because
I'll be auctioning it off, right? I've always kept my eye out for those kind of auctions, because you go. There's a door. They'll make a door, right, and they'll put each kind of lock on the door.
Yeah.
So you can do each sound.
That'd be so great. And you got the chain, and you got the bolt.
Yeah.
You got the sliding bolt.
Yeah,
all of them on there.
All of them
and
are
all
on
the different
there.
door handles.
Well, yeah, all the different knobs that make different sounds.
Yeah. That'd be so easy to build. It'd be great.
Yeah, but that's what it is. All of us that do it, we all have a little. We have a box of trinkets, and it's all very practical. It's all very practical in a weird way. Like the way to create sound is bizarre. Like what you get out of different objects. You wouldn't believe. How some sounds are built, but then the
one that always gets me is the celery. For a broken bone.
Breaking bones and punches.
Yeah.
So if you take a piece of leather and hit it with celery, it'll sound like someone being punched.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, the one that I know of is the snapping of celery.
The most impressive is VHS tape. I wish I had some here. I'd show you.
It's fire.
And rain.
And rain too.
Yeah.
I know it was fire. I remember seeing you one time like.
When you do it slowly, it's rain. No, sorry, it's fire.
Right.
When you speed it up,
it's rain.
It's rain.
Amazing.
Same sound. So water, rain and fire come from the same.
You don't have an
object.
old VHS?
Yeah, I've got. If you ever see VHS, grab it for me, because I always need one.
Yeah.
Because I have different size. I've got the old DAT tapes that I use and take all the ribbon out of it, and that makes the sound.
Yeah.
But I've got all that stuff. I've got boxes of stuff that I've never used. Some stuff I have. I even got a waterphone now, which is exciting.
I love it.
Yeah. I learned to play that really quickly, which is bizarre. I've just got a natural knack for playing the waterphone, apparently.
It's good. It's the creepiest thing ever.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, if you guys have made a horror film and you want me to do some Foley, I've got a waterphone. Yes. I'll make you a deal. I'll make you a good deal. Probably just involve beer, really. If it's a horror film. There's not a lot of corporate gigs that are looking for Foley, so, So most of it's all creative, and that's the other thing. It's just a really creative thing. I really enjoy it. But maybe one day there will be a Foley Award at Made in the West.
Oh, wouldn't that be good?
Yeah, I still can't win
it. No. Well, we've got sound design there, and we've got original score.
Yeah, original score. How long have we been doing the original score?
2 years now.
We got a few music videos this year as well.
Yes. Yes, so, we've been dying to have a music video category.
I don't think we're ready this year.
We're not ready this year. But I feel like we are on the verge of cracking into a whole bunch of music videos from Western Sydney coming in, because there are so many awesome artists making music in Western Sydney, and particularly in the outer west out here. I'm thinking Mount Druitt area. There's so many awesome artists that are coming out of that area right now, and some really awesome music videos. Yeah, too.
Definitely.
And so
definitely out of that area, and Marrickville as well.
Yeah, we've tapped into a few of those this year, and the numbers are growing, but they're not quite at the point yet where we've got enough to be able to have a consistent award.
Well, we've always found it hard to convince a music video to enter, because music video makers tend to think, well, it's not a film, but it is. It is a film.
Well, that's the same as web series makers. A few years ago we had less web series makers. Look at how many web series we've got now.
Yeah, that's true.
There's so many people making. Yeah,
just submit one. It doesn't. And it gets people to know your work. If you get your work at Made in the West, you're doing really well. People are seeing your work. I don't know. I think I've got a 50-50 ratio of getting in. I'm like
you're getting into your own festival.
Getting into the own festival is fucking hard, man. We've made it really difficult. It's not really. Yeah, but now it's gotten easier. This is what I'm really excited about, though. I really am. Having the marathon cinema allows us to put out a lot more work.
Well, it's an extra 50% of time, right? We got an extra duration, so we got potentially an extra 50%, an additional 50% of films.
So let's just break this down again. So if you enter Made in the West, and then it goes to the judges, and then it's decided, and then we know who the finalists are.
Yeah, we're gonna have a set number of finalists, right? It'll be somewhere, as you said, between 25 and 30, somewhere around there. That's what we're estimating.
Yeah, we'll find that line.
And depending on the judges' scores, we will have an official selection, a limited selection, an official selection that screens in the first screening of the night. The one in Cinema 12, our traditional cinema, has a red carpet entry. That's our exclusive VIP filmmakers event. That's where we're going to be handing out the awards and filming all the fanfare of the filmmaker experience, and then at a staggered start time, an hour later, we start the marathon, and this one is in Cinema 11, and that one is the 2.5 hours, of content, and that one will be able to actually screen all of the. So
if you become a finalist at Made in the West, you're going to get screened.
Well, you're actually going to get screened twice, if not 3 times.
You potentially could be screened 3 times.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you could be officially selected and be showing at the other cinema, and
everybody's in the online screening.
So everyone gets in. That's right. So everyone gets in the online.
Everyone's in the online festival. Some people are screening only in the marathon. Some people are screening only in the official selection, and some people are screening in both the official selection and marathon. So, there's an opportunity there for 3 audiences to see your film within a week. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. Yeah,
but the longest one and the biggest marathon of all is the online screening.
Yeah, of course, because that's the massive marathon, right? But I just think it's amazing though that we can, because how many years have gone by where we get we used to call them semi-finalists, right? So we'd have all the semi-finalist films, and you could take all the semi-finalist films and have another festival.
Yeah, we've always said that, haven't we?
You always said that.
Well, that was where we started. That's how we started the semi-finalist run, because a few years ago we realised that the duration that we have is this one event. We're limited. We can only screen
usually 16 films.
2.25 hours worth of films. And what do we get? Something like 14 hours worth, 13 hours worth of films sometimes.
Yeah, I think I think we've gotten the limit of what we've gotten before is 13 hours. So we get between 5 and 13 hours, depending on durations, obviously.
Yeah, and so we started awarding semi-finalists and screening segments of the semi-finalist film in the showreel because there were, if we have 15 people in the lineup, 15 films in the lineup, there's easily another 15 films that deserve to be seen.
Yeah, they're just as good. They would have just missed out by a point.
Yep, absolutely. And and in previous years, they would have been in the festival, and that's why we started the semi-finalists. Well, this year we're doing things.
So now we get these guys. That's what I'm excited about. We get these guys into a screening.
We get to actually double down with more filmmakers, and actually just screen more.
So the border has moved. The borderline of getting your film screened at Made in the West has moved dramatically. Like if you've entered Made in the West, you've got a chance of being on either 1, 2, and definitely a digital event. So one or two cinemas, or definitely a digital event, which is just amazing.
Yeah,
it's an amazing coverage for a film to be in a festival.
For the little festival that could, we're doing okay.
Yeah. We've brought you back Made in the West to Western Sydney, and not only have we brought it back, we've now got multiple events at Made in the West.
We're
now,
about
which
to
is just exciting
to the rest of the country.
Yeah, the world.
Because you know what, Western Sydney filmmakers are making films right now that
you guys are fucking ridiculous.
Through the roof. They are through the roof.
It's ridiculous, the quality.
Yeah.
I can't get over how insanely good this content is.
Yeah.
It is insane.
Yeah. And Made in the West has been a big part of that, I think. We've held a celebration at the end of each year and told all these filmmakers from Western Sydney, keep going. You made an awesome film, just make another one. Try something new next year. Practice your art. Do something more. And then each year we manage to get these films that come in that are just blow us away. And every year we think that we've reached the peak, that the films can't get any better. And because they've been amazing. I mean, I've just been so impressed for years now. At least since 2015, I've started to, each year watching the films, I'm like, oh, these are good.
Yeah.
And by 16...
it was about 2015 where, because prior to that, you'd get one or two...
Yeah.
3 or 4 if you're lucky in 1 year of good films.
Yeah.
The rest would be screenable, but you'd be like, it could be better.
Yeah. And so 2015 was the start. 2016, really, really cemented that. But then 2017 was a jump, and 2018 was a jump.
Well, this is another one of those jumps.
That's right. Each year since then has been a jump. It's just amazing.
Well, the things that
hats off to everybody who's making films. Right now,
but even the films that are coming second, that I can see that's going to happen. Like, we don't know which ones yet, but I could already see just by looking at it. It would be interesting to see. But I know that there's a bandwidth of films there that if we only had one cinema that that wouldn't get a screening, but they're really good.
Yeah.
Well, those films are going to get a screening.
Yeah.
And I just think it's amazing that we get to do that.
I know.
We get to show all of the cream of the crop. We get to show all of the really good films made in Western Sydney.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely amazing. But then, what's next after that? Eventually we're going to fill that space. I don't know. Maybe we'll fill that space again. I guess maybe I can see how Made in the West has contributed to that. But I think that wave was already started. It's just that we've encouraged the wave.
Well,
the wave was already there.
Yeah, absolutely. The creatives. Yeah. Woo. That must be for me. Thank you very much. Well, the creatives were definitely already in Western Sydney. I think what Made in the West does is it just connects people. It's what all the filmmakers say. They come into Made in the West and they just didn't realise there were so many other people like them making films. Western Sydney's so big. There's so many LGAs that make up Western Sydney. There's 2 million people that live here.
It's more than 2 million now.
Probably. And so you're not necessarily as connected as people are in the city, you know. And there's also not the same sorts of, you know, infrastructure, creative spaces, those places where people connect and communities connect. Those places don't really exist.
Yeah, those kind of hubs, and it's a shame. It's a real shame. Like they keep dangling that carrot.
You know, you got Parramatta Ice in Parramatta.
Yeah, that's true.
Casula Powerhouse. You know, places like this.
There are hubs out there.
Art centres, Blacktown Art Centre, Campbelltown Art Centre. These
Fairfield Art Gallery.
Yep, museums and galleries. And so, you know, you've got these places that are exhibiting and that are trying to generate.
Did we say Campbelltown? Could we get Campbelltown in there? You did Campbelltown in there. Good.
Your hometown.
Yeah.
You know, there are these organisations that are providing spaces, but nobody's connecting the whole region, and that was a big part of what we started to try to do with Made in the West.
Well, it's an interesting problem. It's an interesting problem to have, because the problem is that there's all these LGAs.
Thank you.
And no, not a problem. And you have all these LGAs, and they're all of different, political stripes, and they're hard to get to work together. But we're an organisation that goes across those boundaries, those electric boundaries. And I'd just like to, I don't know, because there are good visions for Sydney out there. There are. Have you seen that model for the 3-city plan? Mm-hmm. So you got the Sydney City.
Get anywhere around the city in 25 minutes.
Yeah, that's the idea, right? And then
you got the Western Parklands and the Central City.
And the Central City. So the Central City is around. They want to build that around Parramatta.
Yeah.
And then you got the West, and then you got City West.
So Western Sydney Parklands is sort of the Liverpool Aerotropolis band.
Yeah, but it goes all the way north.
And all the way down to Macarthur.
It goes down to Macarthur, but they also envisage that going all the way up to Penrith as well. Like it's a big chunk of land.
Up to Windsor.
Up to Windsor. Mm-hmm. So over the next 15 years, that's going to be transformative. Like this place is going to transform. We're going to go from being 2.2 million to 4 in 15 years. We're going to double in size.
Oh my gosh.
So we've got to get, I don't know, I don't know if got to is the right thing. I think it's the right thing to do, to put together a bit of a cultural idea for Western Sydney, a cultural idea for these parts of the city. And film is a good way to do that. There's other organisations that are doing it. There's different what are they called? The YMC, the PCYC.
PCYC, yes.
I was about to say the YMCA. Very American, and village people.
All you need now is a Miata. You'll be fine.
Yeah, have a Miata and a daiquiri. Personal joke, folks.
Thanks,
big shout out, Steve, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cultural industries and the arts are a huge part.
So there's the music movement. There's a music movement that's happening in Sydney at the moment, especially in Western Sydney. There's there's a metal movement happening. There's certainly a rap movement that's happening.
Huge.
A huge rap movement that's happening. Mm-hmm. R&B movement that's happening in Western Sydney, and there is a film movement that's happening in Western Sydney. So I think these cultures that are out there that are really creative cultures are really going to garner and shape the city. And we have an opportunity to shape how this city comes together, because it's in its primordial ooze at the moment. It's in it,
and we don't want it to just be suburbia.
We don't. We want it to be a metropolis.
Cultural centres that have vibrant spaces that artists can impact and enjoy, and bring beautiful things to people's lives. One of the things that
that you would be proud to be a part of. You go, this is what happens in my town.
Well, that was what I was going to say. One of the things that I'm really enjoying seeing is the pride that people have in representing their cultures, their communities, their spaces right now. There's a lot of support for artists who are representing Western Sydney on screen right now, and that's really exciting because instead of trying to make something that looks like everything else that you've always seen, I mean, think about the films that we will be watching this year at the festival. Every single one of them is just oh, I wasn't expecting that. You know, like
there's some content in there that is just
unusual
phenomenal.
Stories, right? Great stories.
Yeah,
and really just
you will laugh and you will cry at Made in the West this year. I guarantee it.
There's a lot of laughs.
There's a lot of laughs, a little bit of crying.
I feel like we laughed so much watching all the films this year. Like I just felt like there was so many laugh out loud moments.
Yeah, there was definitely.
Yeah, there were definitely a couple of tearjerkers. More me than you.
Yeah, no, there's one film. I don't want to go into it.
No.
I don't want to go into it, obviously, but there's one film in particular that it just really pulls at your heartstrings, and it makes you realise the world that we live in, and how we should all be trying to make it a better place. Because there's some people out there that just ain't doing that.
I can't even.
No, you can't even talk about it. That's it. Look, I am on the edge.
Talking about right now.
I don't. We can't digress about that.
No, but tickets will go.
I'd love to, but we can't.
Tickets for the online event should be open early next week.
Yeah.
Monday. We're opening up for.
Yeah, is that for all three
online
events?
Tickets? No, we're opening up for the online event because that's the one that everybody can come to. That is the one on the 28th of November, and we will have the festival content. We're encouraging all filmmakers to invite friends, family, anybody who wants to support, and of course any film lovers in Western Sydney and around the country to watch that screening. It's going to be a bumper, 3 segments, 3-hour marathon of films and red carpet content, and generally very exciting stuff. So that's opening first.
It's pretty red hot.
Then we've got a little secret ticket sales opening for the VIP filmmakers, and tickets for the marathon will go on sale. Will open for reservations maybe 10 days later. So we're looking at mid-November.
Mid-November for the marathon.
Yeah, the marathon's on the 21st, and doors open at 7:30 for an 8 o'clock screening. Goes through to midnight.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Wow.
11:30.
Yeah, but this is... I'm interested to see how it goes because I've been to... I remember when I'd go to movie marathons at Greater Union, they used to call it. I think it's still the same company as Event. And they were iconic, man, for the time. Like, we would go along and drink a whole bunch of piss and have a really good night watching a whole bunch of movies. Usually the horror films...
movie marathons?
Yeah,
really?
yeah. I remember Greater Union used to do it when I was a teenager. They used to have... they would open up at, I think, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
And they'd run movies to 6 a.m.
Wow.
And you do a movie marathon overnight.
God, I would have loved that.
Yeah, it's a movie marathon. We used to do a few of them.
I've never done a movie
But when we got older, we started like drinking beer and going to these events drunk, and they were awesome. They were really cool. Because it was one of those. It was kind of a movie environment. Like I wouldn't like to. I don't know if I would. What I would like or wouldn't like with Made in the West in this regard. But at a movie marathon, things can be a bit rowdy. And
really?
yeah. Because people know the movies. They generally know them. Like I don't think that would be something for Made in the West because people hadn't seen the content before. No. But I don't know. I'd like to see if a little subculture comes out of this festival, where people go, "Hey, man, it's Made in the West time. We go and watch we go watch the movie marathon."
Well, I love watching short film marathons. Personally, I love short films more than I love watching feature films.
Yeah, well, is that because of our attention spans?
It's possibly the attention span.
Is that
I
what's
love
going on?
Instant gratification. I want to know the end straight away. All of those sorts of things. The constant feed of excitement. Something new beginning.
Yeah.
But I remember when my parents came to the festival for the first time. Mum and Dad came, and I'm not convinced my dad was really sure whether or not he was going to enjoy a short film.
Big
festival.
shout out to Misty's parents, by the way.
Yeah, and they and afterwards he was like, that was actually very good. That was wonderful how we went from something funny to something sad to something, entertaining, and then it was horror, and just that movement between genres and the different
well, it is curated well. I must say that the festival is curated well.
Oh, you do an amazing job as a curator. That's right. Very true. Very true. But somebody even said
it's a team effort.
Someone said to me last year, it was one of the comments that I remember the most. It was someone's first time coming to the festival, and we crossed paths at intermission, and they just said, they were so surprised. They've never seen films, so many different films like this on a big screen, one after the other, different. Different ideas, different stories, different people, different faces on screen. It's just not something that people get to see, and I love that. I love that switching between all the different genres.
Oh, no, I don't know. Well, there's been some people that give us that pat on the back about diversity. You know, it's great that you're promoting female directors, and it's great that you, they will call it colour on screen. You're putting colour on screen.
Yeah.
And I just feel like saying to those people sometimes that that's not what we're doing. We're just promoting filmmakers, and it just so happens we live in Western Sydney, and it's a diverse culture.
Yeah.
If you drop the bucket down that well, you're always going to pull up something different.
Yeah. We can't help but get almost 50% female filmmakers every year.
Yeah, it just happens.
Yeah.
It's not something we target. We target the film. We target the content, and out of it comes those statistics.
Yeah, we can't wait to get it to the point where we're even.
What about when it's over?
I know.
When it's over. What about when it's like 60%, 70%? What would there be a film crisis if there was 70% films made by women? Is that a film crisis?
I don't think it would be a crisis. It might be, you might have a crisis of ego as a general population, the male population. No, of course it wouldn't be a crisis. It would be really interesting actually to see what types of film sets you would come about, what sort of inclusion measures and inclusion riders would be instated for people. There's so much that women think about. Sorry to go into this, but there's so much. Deep. There's so much that women think about that men don't think about, and I think that's partly because we are relators, in a general term, but also because women have grown up sometimes being overlooked, sometimes not always, but sometimes being overlooked.
Absolutely.
And they have an understanding for other people who perhaps also have been overlooked. And I think actually it would make a wonderful difference to all industries to have
more diversity,
women, more women included. Same with all different cultures. I mean, think about all the different stories that we're bringing in at Made in the West, and all the richness of that experience for us.
That's very true.
Having all of those different stories included is a wonderful thing. It's certainly not scary, and it's certainly not something that we have to actively
I don't think it's scary. I don't know why people are scared of such things, though. I just think it's just we've got more to gain than lose. That's why I see those sort of things. But at the same time, like, I understand, traditionalism, if that's even such a word, but being traditionalist and, old honours and guards that people are used to. I'm used to it to an extent. But when you talk about gender equality or, freedom of outcome, when you start talking about those things, that's where I go, well, that's where honours and traditions perhaps can change.
Yeah. Ultimately, we're getting to a point in society where humans are humans. Doesn't matter.
It's changed heaps of times before, anyway.
Whether you're male, female, from here, not from here. First Nations, not First Nations, colonisers, all the rest. Ultimately, everybody.
Here, not from here, but not from here. Here.
Not from here, but here. But here. But we're here today, and we're all in this together. There will come a point where none of that matters.
Yeah. Maybe. When we become, unless you're a cyborg, and if
you go towards cyborg, I was going to go to the apocalypse. I was like, the apocalypse of Unitas.
Well, no, I was saying to someone the other day, I go, I'm a proto cyborg. I've always got an earpiece in. I've got a watch on.
Oh yeah.
It's just and always got a phone on me. I'm always running around with a supercomputer.
May as well just sign up for the microchip now.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Like.
Would you ever get one of those microchips in your wrist that you can pay
RFID chip?
Swipe?
Yeah, I guess so.
Would you?
Yeah. I don't care. I used to care about such things like that. It doesn't really matter anymore. I think there'll always be the tug of war of those kind of ideas. The military-industrial complex versus, the hippie movement. Being a part of both organisations, and they both are poorly organised and underfunded. So yeah, it's just
very true.
It is. It really is. And they don't know where they're going. Like by the time their leadership message has gotten through, ideas have already changed. So these movements aren't that agile.
Well, that's the trouble with a big organisation. We've talked about that a lot this year, and that's one of the benefits for us being small. And being, as you've said, agile. Like we've really realised that we have that capability this year, and we're as much all this time we've been wanting to get bigger, and then this year it's kind of lucky that we're not so big.
Yeah, lucky.
Because we've been able to change, we've been able to shift directions.
Easily adapted.
You know, think about how we want to do things in a new way and enroll people in that idea. It's been so much more empowering as a small organisation, and as I've said to you many times, also the filmmakers that we work with, the community that we work with, is an emerging filmmaker audience, and so they're also not attached to their ways of doing things or you know, large film sets, all that sort of stuff. So we're actually really lucky in this moment to be.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think we're under embargo on a few things at the moment, and we're still waiting for those to happen. So we'll see how it turns out.
We do have some very exciting projects coming up in the new year.
I have bitched about it on the show before, but I haven't said anything though. Yes. I don't know. I just think it's funny. Well, I don't know if funny is the right word. I just think it's peculiar. Like,
I don't. It's one of the challenges with you know, having to source your money from an outside organisation that is, you know, above you in the grand scheme of organisations.
And they got their checks and balances.
They got the money. You've got to do your reporting. You've got to do your applications. You know, that whole process is A, soul destroying, and B, time consuming, and you know, for some people unavoidable.
Yeah.
Luckily for us, it's a bit avoidable.
Go corporate, stay away from other people. I don't want to get too much into it. I bitch about it all the time. I'm just saying that it's nice to be agile and to adapt.
Yeah.
But I think that's why I you know, zooming out, you worry about those things. You know, the industrial military complex versus the hippie movement. They're both disjointed organisations that are butting heads over ideologies, and meanwhile, shit's breaking because it can't be fixed quick enough, you know. And I think both sides are responsible for that.
And nobody wants to take responsibility.
Nobody wants that.
No.
I've noticed that there is in the last few years, I have noticed a hand-on culture where things are handed on. No, this is not my job. That belongs to that person over there. And people get caught in that system, in a cyclic system of people not taking responsibility.
Yeah. Okay.
But no one wants to do that. No one wants to take responsibility. I don't want to take responsibility. I don't. I mean, no one naturally does. Like, recycling is important, but it's a pain in the ass. It really is. But you got to do it. Yeah. If you want to make the planet a better place, you've got to do it.
Well, and I suppose to
still a pain.
To think about it in a different way, if you've done something wrong, or if you've missed something, you've made a mistake, it is often very difficult to stop yourself from shifting the blame, and just accepting that blame yourself. So
that's true.
It does take more guts, I think, to admit when you're wrong and admit when you need to act in order to fix something, than it does for you to say, "Oh no, everything's fine."
But as well, on the other token of that,
it's a cop out.
But the other side of it as well is the cancel culture, the cancel culture.
Well, it's interesting, isn't
because,
it?
Because if anyone shows any sign of weakness, people just pounce on them and then cancel them.
It's not necessarily a sign of weakness. I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about how fascinating it is that people now need to be mindful of the things that they said a long time ago and whether or not they were appropriate, and make a choice as to whether they say something about it now, which brings it into the present and allows people to talk about it, or whether they ignore it and pretend it wasn't there and risk people talking about it without them managing that conversation.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a really interesting situation.
They're going after dead guys now, though. You know this? They went after John Wayne the other day.
John Wayne, what happened? What did he do?
He said something bad in a magazine.
Something about a lady.
No, it wasn't about a lady. It was about a man.
Oh, was it?
About a man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, about a man-loving man.
Oh, okay.
So it was about what's the word? Homophobic comments that he made in the 70s in a magazine. I think it was a Playboy magazine. Like, it was in a porno mag that John Wayne made some comments, and people were like, "Oh, you shouldn't have said that." But the man's dead.
And he's being quoted in a porno mag.
He's being quoted in a porno mag from the 70s. What the fuck did you expect? Jesus.
Yeah, but the things that we accept and the things that we think are acceptable and normal change over time. Even the language changes. Even the language changes. You know, people of generations above us don't use the same words that we do in the same way. Like, you know, they've.
It's totally sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is totally sick? Does it need mending and health.
Yeah, even just being able to refer to things like queer culture or queer film culture, things like that. Those words weren't able to be liberated before and owned by the queer community. Those words still have different meanings for older generations, and so over time, things shift. Language changes. The way we relate to people changes through language. I think it's all very healthy. The trouble is at the moment we're in this sort of shocking sort of phase where it's new and it's happening. We'll get through this phase and people will just act more nicely,
Yeah, I think
and we won't have the same problem.
But here's the other problem with that, though, right? I see the other problem with that, right? Because remember, TV used to be a problem. Remember, TV was a problem.
What about TV?
But when we were younger, right, TV was a fucking problem. Too much TV was a problem.
Yeah, okay.
TV was.
You get square eyes.
You get It was a source. If you overdid television, it would change the way you think. Right, and that was the fear. It's kind of
now it's YouTube.
Yeah, now it's YouTube, but that's what I mean. It moved on. It moved on from TV. No one gives a fuck about TV anymore. Watch all the TV you like. It doesn't do anything to you. No one cares.
Except ads.
Yeah, but we skip the ads now. We've got ways around it. Because that's that tug of war again. We get away from the ads and then the ads show up again. We get away from the ads and then they show up again.
There's a whole cohort of people out there that think that a feature film takes 3.5 hours on a Saturday night. With 2 hours of ads and 90 minutes of feature film.
That's crazy, though. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I participated.
They add an hour of ads.
Yeah. You start a film on.
But we used to do that when we were younger. We do that.
Yeah,
we would totally do that.
I swear the film didn't finish at midnight back then.
No, but they added more ads in because they fragmented. Yeah, they shot themselves in the foot because they fragmented the market. Used to be 3 channels, man. 3. And how many channels are there now? They fragmented the market.
Do you remember?
And then Facebook showed up and goes, "Oh, look at all this money! I'm going to take all of it." And then Google's like, "Oh, I'm going to take all this money! I'm going to take all of it."
And the government's like, "Stop taking all of our money! We're going to take it."
We used to own the TV things and the energy companies. It's not working. Stop doing that. They're like, "Fuck off!" And now they released the virus.
Ross's drunk history.
Yeah.
Drunk history of Australian television.
Yeah, the drunk history of Australian television. Yeah. Yeah. We used to control the narrative and now it's out of control.
Yeah. I'm old enough to remember when
it used to be a problem
when Channel 10 came out. So there was Channel 2, Channel 7 and Channel 9. And then Channel 10 came on and we were all so excited that there was a 4th channel.
Yeah, and we got The Simpsons.
Yeah, you got The Simpsons in there. And then, a few years back it just all expanded. I remember having to turn the dial on the television to get up.
I remember I was the remote.
You were the remote, that's right. Yeah.
But
hello, youngest child.
No, but that's it. But we used to worry about television. Imagine how we worry about phones now. That's what we're going to think of television now. Like, there's going to be a point where we go, oh, that problem's nowhere near the problems we got now.
Well, hasn't there been?
Because there's going to be Neuralink where we're going to be reading each other's thoughts.
Hasn't there been, to a certain extent, that sort of fear about all all advances in technology? I think about my research or my field in writing, and you think about how publishers were so worried about the end of books, the death of books, because of the ebook and because of audiobooks coming out. Right. And every year people would report on the larger and larger percentage of people that were using electronic books, and there was questions about whether it was really reading if you have a Kindle or an ebook. Are you really reading a book if you're listening to an audiobook? Of course you are. You are still listening to the words that an author.
I've started doing audiobooks. They're really good.
You're just consuming it in a different way.
Way faster. Way faster.
Sometimes those narrators are pretty slow, and so I quite like jacking them up to like a 1.5.
Yeah, that's it. You can increase the speed as they're read.
Just like Matrix download.
Oh man, I can watch like two television shows and a film at the same time. I'm like doing a podcast and an audiobook at the same time.
Yeah, but you're unique.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the publishing industry was worried about books, about ebooks and digital books taking over. But that balance sort of stopped maybe 2 years ago. That conversation changed because ebooks plateaued out at 35%. It's stayed pretty constant at 35% for the last couple of years.
Same thing happened to radio. TV coming out, people thought radio was going to die, and then we put radios in cars.
Yep.
There's more. You get more radio coverage in ads now than you do on TV.
Yeah, and what's happened as a result is that the fear campaign about digital books has changed. So now that there's less fear about them taking over their publishing model that was probably getting outdated. Now they realise that actually, hang on a second, there's 30% of the market here that wants their books to be mobile. They want to be able to take their books on the road with them, or manage their libraries a little bit more easily, or whatever it is,
right.
or engage with the book world and the publishing world online and catalogue their libraries and share them and review them and all those sorts of things. And it's not as scary as it was before because it hasn't killed the book industry. In fact, the book industry is as strong as it ever was. And if not more people are able to consume books through these online platforms.
That's what I'm talking about. Once
just another communication.
It's just another tool.
Yeah.
Like it's just another medium. You know, it's just another message. If you want to get into McLuhan, the
medium is the message.
Medium is the message.
And so then what that means?
We are the sex organs of digital technology.
So then the big question,
another one he said.
The big question is, do you just translate your product into the different medium, or do you transform it in some way?
Well, we see this happen all the time
because it's being
we see both of those things
consumed in a different platform,
and that's where we talk about agility. Being agile allows you to transform, and rather than adapt, or there's a different processes going on. There's a different processes going on there.
Well, I found that in my own research, looking at digital festivals and digital writers festivals particularly. There's two types of ways that events are being either translated online or transformed for the new medium. There are live stream events that take a live event and transfer it to an audience at a distance, and it is essentially the same. It's the same event that's being.
That's why I don't think it works.
Transmitted.
That's why I don't think it works.
And
doesn't work.
But people come up with different ways in order to make that remote event more engaging.
Yeah, you can make it. Yeah, you can.
And you have a social
by
occasion.
hitting like button. Profusely, you can engage.
Yes, very true. You are a very good liker in an online live stream setting. Very true. Now I'm thinking about like a like a weekend long event, like not just one single event. I'm thinking about like a longer festival experience. And so you can translate that festival in a different way. You can just recreate it, or you can actually just reimagine it. You can build it in a different way, and I think that's part of that's the most exciting part of potentially running events online and doing new things in these.
Yeah, that's uncharted territory. That's what I like about it.
Because
I agree.
People come at that space in a different way. I'm a different person when I come at an event online. I have different expectations to, when I arrive at a theatre, or if I arrive at a space in person, you're engaged in different ways. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really liked what we did with the online networking event. We took a model that was built, like in gamified spaces, and adapted a live in-person networking event to that model that was interactive in that game-like sense.
Yeah,
and
interchanging these things is interesting.
Yeah, I think that's where the future lies.
Okay.
In rethinking how we do things and adapting those to new spaces.
Well, speaking of spaces, where can people find us digitally, and where can they find out more information about Made in the West Marathon, Made in the West Gala, VIP exclusive event, and of course our flagship event, the online festival? Well,
www.mainthewest.com.au obviously is the best place to go for all the news updates.
How fast can you say that though? I reckon www.mainthewest.com.au.
If I was speaking Slavic, it would be www.
www.mainthewest.com.au, or you can find us on Facebook.
Yes, you can find us on Facebook. We've got a couple of Facebook events running, and people can RSVP and keep up with us there. Tick like, subscribe.
Two more likes. We're up to 1,200, I think.
Yep.
Interesting.
But the website's the best place, and we'll be going on sale for tickets next week, opening up for reservations, and yeah, we're really excited about being able to start telling people what this event's really going to look like.
So we got 4 big announcements. We got some really cool judges to name drop straight away. We got Brian Brown, fantastic.
Maha Wilson.
And we've got 2 cinemas. One is a awards night. The other one is a marathon, and of course the main event, which is the Digital Online Festival, which happens on the 28th, and the real festival is on the 21st of November.
Yes, IRL. We'll be there.
Yeah.
Partying with the best filmmaker crew in town.
Always a good night. And look, I just, again, like I know I've thanked you guys a lot this year, but I'd like to take this opportunity to personally thank you and J-Man and the rest of the extended crew that's out there, all of our organisations that help us.
Casey,
Natalie, Luke, you guys are absolutely amazing. But you've done such a great job this year, so thank you, Misty.
Thank you, me and my beautiful brain.
Yeah, yes. And look, if you have been enjoying the Pagey Train this year, I've got a few more episodes that are coming out this year. It's very hard to stop doing. I've got a lot of work coming up, so the final episode of the year is coming out soon. But I'll have plenty of content coming out during Made in the West and of course Christmas. But if you have been enjoying the Pagey Train, don't forget to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can find us on Spotify, you can find us on Apple iTunes, and next year we'll be aiming to be on iHeartRadio. And if you really, really enjoy the Pagey Train, don't forget to hit the notifications while you've subscribed on Pagey. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You've been watching the Pagey Train, and we'll see you next time. That's it, my love. We're done.
Woohoo!
Yeah, we're running out of time. We're starting getting existential.
Cheers.
Cheers. That's such good scotch.